Welcome to the Explain It podcast. I am eating something I normally don't eat, banana bread, but it's because it was made by my husband. And it was his first attempt at it, and it came out so good. I was like, oh, I must keep eating this banana bread. But welcome to the Explain It podcast. We have a really highly in-demand topic today, and that's to know more about wraps and what are wraps. I've done one podcast before where I'm like, think of your existing mortgage like the beans and this new way of selling your deal with that in place as the tortilla. And so you're going to wrap this burrito with the beans inside, and your wrap is the tortilla. And so we have, maybe I should have come up with like some Italian food to explain this, because we have the Milinazzos in the house. We've had them on the podcast before. We love them. So onto the stage, Dom and Angie. Hey-o.
Hello. What's up, guys? Yeah, maybe we could talk about spaghetti. Your grandma made some spaghetti, and then you take that spaghetti.
Like wrap, like what kind of food? Like,
and then you resell that spaghetti to somebody.
No, that's I can't visually. I think a burrito covers it better.
Yeah. Burrito.
I like burritos better anyway. So
yeah. Okay. I'm just saying. Although I do love my Italian food, but you guys thought you were only getting 2 Milinazzos, but you're getting 3 Milinazzos for the price of one. And then because their team is not small, we got a Dylan and we got an Austin.
They're adopted Milinazzos.
We are adopted, happily adopted.
Happily adopted. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you all for coming on to the podcast. You know, wraps are a big deal right now. And so much so because so many creative deals that we're looking at, they're just not penciling. And so you have to make the most out of, at least here in Arizona. Maybe you guys have a different story in Colorado, the markets you're in. I would love to hear more about that. But this is a way to maximize what potential there is to make an arbitrage difference, if you will, between the existing, I'll say, debt structure on that property versus what you could do it by selling it, meaning you guys are upgrading yourselves to the bank, right? You're becoming the bank of these deals, if you will. So who would like to kick us off on what you guys are doing? How did you get here? You know, I don't think everybody has that same, you know, Dom Milinazzo nose. So I'm just curious, how did this grow into?
How did my nose grow? My sister teases me about that. So, I mean, from the beginning, you want to go from the beginning or wraps?
Well, I don't want to know, like, how, you know, what, when you were born, how many pounds were you? I'm just wondering.
I'm the youngest is 7. No.
It is Mother's Day this Sunday. I had to remind somebody today. And so I put my motherhood shirt on, just FYI. You can't say I didn't help you guys out. Like, order those flowers now, put it in the platform, like whatever ordering.
You're giving us a heads up for sure.
Yeah, big heads up. I'm here to help, guys. So, no, like, obviously you guys have been in real estate for a while. If you guys are fans of the show, you know that the Milinazzos have been on here before. They're not just real estate investors. They're licensed real estate investors because they have a brokerage out of Colorado.
Yep.
You guys when did you join SubTo?
June of 21.
Nice. Okay. So same year I did, January of 21 for me. And then we've been, you know, I wish we could do a deal together, by the way.
Let's do one.
I know.
Yeah, for reals. So tell us, you've been doing creative, you were learning all the things. So what direction are you going into now?
Wraps, 100%. Right.
Okay.
So we, in the beginning, we did so many different so many different ways to sell the home. And we learned a lot of different ones, right? But we found out wraps worked, but we made a lot of mistakes in the beginning just because we didn't have it down. And when we first started doing them, there wasn't a lot of people to go to help, right? Like we have now in the community, there's a lot of help, a lot of workshops, a lot of events and that kind of stuff. So we just kind of went through it ourselves and learned those lessons and realized, hey, man, this is working and we don't have to fix anything. We don't have to fix toilets. We don't have to do all of the things that a landlord would normally do. And people that are coming in have a sense of ownership have some pride in it. They have skin in the game. They put money down. So we just found it as a way to sell these homes, help families, help sellers, and help us put money in our pocket.
And agents.
It helps the agent tremendously.
Agents. Hey,
They
as
say
an
face.
agent myself, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can't sell it and you've promised somebody you can sell it, and then you lose that listing, and then somebody else comes along and they know creative and they know how to do this. Oh boy. Now how do you look in your sphere? Like, I wouldn't want that to happen, because then that person's going to say, use this other person because they sold my house. They knew something different. So it helps everybody involved, even the bank. Even the bank.
Yeah. I mean, you're helping these banks continue to have performing notes at the
100%. And the neighborhood. That house didn't go to foreclosure and get sold for who knows what, or short saled or whatever. So it helps everybody all the way around. If the deal works, it works.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. So tell me, so you guys are now starting to pivot after exploring the buffet of options that is real estate. And that is actually something we talk about a lot when people join the SubTo community now. It's like, it's a plethora,
That's the hardest part about SubTo, is there's so much.
It's the hardest part of real estate.
Yeah. Real estate in general.
Part of real estate, and Pace has said this a lot. It's not that there's opportunities missing, is that there's so many opportunities that you have to figure out what's going to be your lane so that you can master it before moving on to the next thing or growing. So
I think there's two ways to do it. One is to go and just shotgun blast and do everything, right? And the other is to learn yourself, know thyself. Pace says it all the time, right? Learn what you like and don't like. And that would be by just observing people in deals. Even if you're not making money, can I observe this deal? Because they may go through a wrap and go, wait a minute, I don't want no part of this thing. Or they may say, this is great for me. But they got a free look. People are willing to help. So that's what I would do. I would shotgun blast and just try everything myself, if that's the type of person you are. Or I would learn myself by watching other people do their thing.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
So what you're saying, make sure I understood, you observe other people doing that strategy. And if it aligns with your personality traits, then that's the thing to go do.
Absolutely.
I think that's sage advice right there for sure. So Mike Jackson wants to know, how can I do a deal with you? I want to learn.
Mike, are you coming to the boot camp?
We ate a steak together a few weeks ago at Squat Up.
Did you?
You talked about deals.
What's happening here?
No.
Oh.
He drove us to the steakhouse, so we had some steak with him.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what boot camp are you talking about, Angie?
So we have a boot camp coming up Friday and Saturday this week, this May 9th and 10th. And we are teaching how to do a wrap mortgages. And Pace Morby will be there on Saturday.
Fantastic. So where could people find more info on that?
So you're going to want to go to creativereps.com/pace. I'm going to put in this.
That's hard. /pace. Who is this guy?
Right on. Cool. So creativereps.com/pace so that people can sign up to go to this boot camp this Saturday.
Yes. And if you're on this and you're listening, if you reach out directly to us, we have a discount code.
Really?
You're going to want the discount code. Reach out.
But you got to reach out.
How can they reach out, Ange?
You can reach out to me through my Facebook, Angie Milinazzo.
Angie Milinazzo.
Yep. My first and last name.
So you guys are pivoting into wraps, which meant you had to hire your neighborhood children. So tell me, how did that come about in how we have all the folks on the screen?
I'd like Joey to tell his story about his buyer that he's got, and tell his story.
Yeah, She wants to know how he got into working with us. Well, you asked Ingryd how all these guys came about working with us.
How did everybody wind up working with you, and now that you're pivoting into wraps, and how you're making it work?
Well, we were all forced into it. No, I'm just kidding. No, me and Dylan started, 4 years ago, just thinking we were going to call 100 sellers and ask them to let us take it zero down, and we're somehow going to wholesale that because Pace does it. So we learned the hard way by 10 hard months without a deal, and finally figured out the sauce. Got our first deal. I think it was only like maybe a $4,000 assignment fee.
It was 3,000.
3,000 because we had to pay a JV partner 1,000, and we were like, oh crap, okay, it works. All right, and then I don't know, the history kind of set itself. After that, we did, I'd say, 120 SubTos since then, and wholesaled, I'd say 80% of them, and kept about 20% of them either as a long-term rental or a wrap. And then we sold so many SubTos to this certain buyer. And after we sold him one deal, he bought me this. It's a Rolex, if you can't see. He bought me a Rolex, and I was like, what the hell? We got to be doing what he's doing. Enough wholesaling and assigning these SubTo deals. Let's start wrapping them ourselves. So that's exactly what we did, is started wrapping them. The funniest thing is actually our first wrap, long time ago, day before closing. It might have been 2 days. House actually burnt down. Yes, it's along with 3 other properties in the neighborhood. Like some arsonist kids got us. But that's kind of where we've come from. We've learned all the mistakes and fell on our face, literally burnt to the ground. And now we have it as clockwork every single month with our wraps and our pool of buyers, and we've got it to down to a system. And that's where we are now.
Awesome. So I love that you are really giving like the real deal Holyfield, for those of us old enough for that reference, where it's a process to learn where you're going to end up landing. Just because you started in one way doesn't mean that that's exact. And maybe 3 years from now, you'll be somewhere else because you've already stacked your wraps so much. You're like, I'm going to go be, a painter. I don't know, oil painter. Who knows?
The next thing's actually land development, for me at least.
Okay, perfect. That's way better. That makes way more sense. Land development. So you're stacking up what you got to do right now so that it gives you the free time to go do the things you actually want to do and provide more growth for yourself, which is great.
100%.
100%. And then how we got Austin in here, I can let him tell his story, but yeah, I'll just let him tell it.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I didn't know a single thing about real estate. I knew that there were realtors and that there were houses and people bought them, but that was about it. I was actually a travel nurse, graduated during COVID and was working on COVID units for 2 or 3 years. At that time, I was making pretty good money and had a lot of free time. So I was like, okay, what can I kind of do? I'm only working 3 days a week. What else can I do on those other 4 days? Obviously a lot of people know real estate is, a great place to invest in. And, most millionaires come from some sort of real estate. So started watching some podcasts, Wholesale Hines, stuff like that. Heard Pace on there a couple of times. And then funny enough, I was actually at Joey's house. Dylan was there and I had no idea what they did. I didn't even know that they were in real estate. And I was like, you guys got to check this stuff out. Like, people are making crazy money doing this wholesaling stuff. And either one of them, I don't remember who, was like, do you not know what, that's literally what we do. You need to look into this Pace Morby guy. And so I was like, all right, I need to do this. I started coming into the office, on my days off, like 1 or 2 days a week, just kind of involving myself around them, listening to their conversations, making live calls. So the first 2 days of kind of immersing myself in it, I was in the vault watching Pace, again, listening to Joey and Dylan, just calling sellers. And then finally they were like, all right, are you ready? You got to call someone. So I made my call, ended up getting it under contract. The very first call I ever made. Didn't end up being a good deal. It was a SubTo deal, but it just was in a bad area and didn't really pencil. But that was just kind of like proof of concept for me, like only 2 days experience. And I'm able to actually get someone to sign this contract that I can then, sell from there. So after my final nursing contract ended, I had enough saved up and I was like, I'm just going to do this full time. I'm probably working more now than I am as a nurse, but obviously in real estate, you have a lot more flexibility and freedom, which is kind of what I was looking for. So now I've been here for about a year and we're rocking and rolling.
He has an advantage because he's got those good bedside manners that he took from being a nurse. And when he's talking to, especially foreclosures, he does a lot of that. He knows how to chat with them and still get what you need to get, right? You can't be forceful, but you still have to, whatever you're trying to get, you still have to get that from them like a nurse does. I got to give you this shot. I know you're mad, and find a way. I got the shot. Everybody's good. Let's go. He takes that same approach.
Yeah. Sticking needles into people is helpful in other ways, for sure.
Yeah.
Good job, Austin. Well, welcome. And then how about Dylan? How did Dylan come around?
Yeah, me and Joey actually went to high school together and we're really good friends.
Joey's the recruiter. What is happening here? Yeah, okay.
He definitely is. And we always in high school, and even while he was going to college, I was selling kitchen knives and like trying to be entrepreneurial. I actually started investing when I was 19, and I kept telling Joey to drop out of college. That's for kids. Let's start a business. But he finished. And then shortly after he graduated, I started coming to the office. We saw a couple Pace Morview videos, and then I quit my job as well. And yeah, we've been doing it full time for like 4 years now.
Nice. Wow. Friends don't let friends finish college. So is what I heard you say. So, okay.
What are you, a loser?
Yeah. Right. As my kid's getting ready to go to
I wish Joey would have told me to drop out before I spent $50,000 on a nursing degree that I'm not using.
It's okay. You never know, Austin. One of my really good friends, he started out as a nurse, went into real estate, and then realized that he really missed being a nurse, and he went back into nursing. So I don't know.
I hope that's not the case for me, but we'll see.
Yeah. But I mean, you always have that as a safety net. So I don't think it's a terrible thing in case you have to pivot. You have.
Plus, I could get sick at the office or something, and I need instant help. So.
Right.
This is true, right?
Actually,
getting old.
Enemas, okay.
No.
There was a guy in SubTo who actually started a business out here for those vitamin IV things.
Oh yeah.
So that's still an option. So tell me, so now that you're doing wraps, about like what's your deal flow looking for something like a wrap right now, and then how are you guys working those wraps? So like you said, you have acquisitions, so you guys are still focused on finding creative deals. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a team of callers and sort of bird dogs who will bring us these leads. So it's not necessarily us calling the agents and the sellers anymore, because we now have, and they're all other SubTo students who call for us. So it's basically them finding us deals, bringing it, and if it's a great one, and in Colorado, we're wrapping it. Any other state, we might look to wholesale it. But especially Colorado, we're keeping that and wrapping it. And we just we've built up our pool of buyers. So, right, we don't close on a deal unless I have a buyer ready who likes it, who wants to buy it, always using the buyer's money, which a lot of people do mess up doing wraps, is unless it's a slam dunk, I do not advise getting a PML to close on a SubTo deal unless you have a wrap buyer ready. Or it's like a 2% rate, 0 down.
Yeah.
Then obviously in a great neighborhood, needs no work.
Okay.
That's different.
Very good. So Joey, for my audience who may not know what a PML is, how closing on it first, like walk us through like what's your, I'll say typical, because there isn't necessarily like, not every transaction is the same, but there is some typicality, right? Like you have the transaction here, you close on it, and then you sell it on a wrap. So walk us through maybe what are those primary points of milestones.
Yeah. So first we got to have a SubTo deal, whether you found it by cold calling, door knocking, or you're buying it from a wholesaler. So we have a SubTo deal under contract to take over somebody's mortgage at whatever interest rate. We're giving the seller cash, close, take over the rate. That's the first part you need. You need a deal, right? And what I do, opposed to other people, I make sure I have a buyer first. So now I see this lead, this wholesaler's maybe selling it. Maybe he says he'll choose an offer in 5 days, right? Now I know I have 5 days to bring a buyer to this. I'll go to my pool of buyers, which I've built up through. We don't have 2 days to talk about it, but we built up our buyers list. I'll then find my wrap buyer. What I mean, my end buyer, somebody who's going to live in it, right? Somebody who's going to buy this home and live in it. I have them now. I promote this property to these buyers, see which one likes it. And once I find one who likes it, who's ready to put earnest money down, ready to go, I will then sign this wholesaler's contract, right? Let them assign it to me as the buyer. I close with this person's money, the end buyer. Let's say it's 50 grand. I use their 50. Maybe the wholesaler wanted 30. Use their 50 to close. Now there's 20K left. Now I then resell this SubTo that I just bought to this end buyer on seller finance, and I change the rate a little bit higher, and I collect that 20 grand difference. And what we also do is add another 20K of equity, 20 to 50K of equity on the back end. So on the price I sell it to them. And that's basically the lifeline of the deal. And what I was saying about PMLs, private money lenders, what some people do is a little bit different. Here's the SubTo deal. They then go ask for money to close on this deal, so then they can then market it to a wrap buyer. Whereas us, I have the wrap buyer ready. I'm just going to close all at the same time.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then when you're wrap selling these, are you selling them as deed transfers again, or are you doing like agreement for sale?
It depends. I usually do a contract for deed when I sell it on the wrap to the seller.
Yeah.
I'd say mostly every single time, especially in Colorado. They're just not really, most title companies aren't really even touching FHAs, VAs, and that's where we get most of our leads are, government loans. So sometimes we'll even have to close on a contract for deed and sell on a contract for deed. But that's why we got Caleb Christopher as our TC and attorneys to handle all that fun stuff.
So all the stuff is documented. And that's important for everybody to understand, that as more states get a little bit more conservative, which is so weird to me, right? Because here we are changing an administration that is supposedly about less regulation, and I feel like we've started to get more regulation. So I was like, hold on, wasn't that supposed to be the opposite? So that's my personal opinion. But anyway, because of that, you have to understand your state laws. Like, your state laws will impact how your approach to doing wraps or creative deals or anything. I mean, even cash. I mean, there's some deals out of like West Virginia now, right? West Virginia is trying to outlaw wholesaling in general. Our good friend Jerry Norton, right? He posted something recently, and I was like, wait, so can you at least double close them? And you can't, because at least the way the law is written and how you're interpreting it, because if you're assigning your rights before you have ownership, that's still equitable interest. So you have to first buy it, then sell it. And then you can't have your contract written until after you've owned it and all records have been updated. So you have to be very methodical. There's still money to be made. You could still wholesale. You're just going to have to be a, big girl, big boy, put your money where your
and hold that thing for a few days.
And hold it before you sell it. Yeah. As entrepreneurs, we find the way, right? We find the way.
I actually had a deal in, I'm just looking at my map to my left. I think it was Oklahoma. The laws changed like 5 days before we closed. So I had it assigned. And then the title company comes to me and they said, well, we can't do wholesales anymore. So I was like, oh, crap. So basically what I did was just have my end buyer re-sign the contract with the seller. And I added myself in as a consulting fee. So that was my assignment fee, is that I gave him a consulting fee. I was a finder's fee to then get paid. So there is ways around certain things, but having like 5 days before closing, they changed the laws on us.
That's tough. Right on. Okay.
It's like that house burned one day before closing. Stuff happens in real estate.
That is so wild to me. And you guys are still dealing with that, no?
Yep.
That's crazy. Okay.
Where if we would have known better, we probably wouldn't be in this situation, but it was a while ago. And
it was before you knew.
Yeah.
It was while we were still scrapping and learning. We learn every day. If someone says they don't, they're lying. But the basic and the big things, we were still learning them. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, now that you're doing in wraps, what have been some big key learnings? Maybe if you give me like your top 3 that you think it's important for people to kind of understand.
Ooh. Dale, what do you think? What's some pain points you've had?
I'll share my own too after you're done. I mean, in case there's no overlap.
For sure. Yeah. It's gotta be knowing the numbers. I feel like a lot of people bring us a lead that they think is a deal, and it's like a townhome with a bad interest rate, or just multiple different factors that would make the deal not fit for a wrap. So that I would just say, like, knowing generally what buyers are looking for, and like Joey said, having buyers in place before you even start doing this is probably the most important part. Like the egg definitely comes before the chicken in wraps. Like, you should have buyers lined up before you start going and looking for deals. So
Insurance is the
that's one of
biggest thing too, Dale.
Insurance, yeah. Insurance can raise red flags with due on sale.
You cannot be covered properly.
Yeah, your pants are down when a fire happens. Insurance, and there's not a lot of information about insurance in the SubTo world. So we've sort of had to figure that out and talk with multiple brokers to figure that out. So those are definitely some of the biggest takeaways we've learned.
It's the team. The biggest thing is that team. Like, you can wrap on your own, right? But you can't know everything. So you have to have all of these people who are skilled in these different things as your team, right? Your TC, your acquisition, your dispo, how they find deals, underwriter, who's looking at all this stuff. You have to have a strong team to do that, or a team that you're working with, because you can't see all the holes. You know, you're in their battle, and you need the team to see all the holes. So for me, it's a whole bunch of things, but it's the team as a unit that is so important. And that's not always the people inside your organization, right? That's people outside, your MLO who's helping you through this, your insurance guy. Mortgage. First, it's a mortgage guy, a guy you would go and get a mortgage from. So my bad. Yeah, it's a guy you would go when you want to buy a house.
Thanks, Days on Market. I mean, Dom, just kidding.
Yeah, that's my new handle, Days on Market.
Days on Market.
So yeah, it's having an Ingryd maybe to bounce something off, an Angie to bounce something off of, right? So it's not just your team inside; it's your team that you're doing business with. That is so key to be successful in any business, but especially in these wraps.
Yeah, your who's not hows. I love that.
Yep.
Okay, I'll give you one that I didn't even know. I was like, wait a second, what? As a wrap person. So first, you did say something that's very, very key, and it's important. If you're watching this, you're like, if I want to wrap, what do I need to have as a team member, whether they're on internally and on my team or externally? But that is an RMLO. So somebody who is a residential mortgage loan officer. That's what it stands for. I said it really slowly so that my brain could catch up to remember. But an RMLO,
with you.
An RMLO will review your buyer for the validity of them actually being your buyer. Because something that I learned was that if you're going to go sell these properties on wraps, if you're going to call yourself a professional, you have to know that you are now, and arguably, even if you've done less than 3, if you're consistently doing wraps, you are now a lender, whether you're licensed or not. So that is something that was like eye-opening to me, that I am now becoming a lender if I'm doing wraps. So if I'm now becoming a lender, if I'm doing wraps, what do lenders have to do? They have to qualify buyers and make sure you have a standard procedure of how you qualify a buyer. Why? Because there's these 2 acts or these 2 laws that drive a lot of wraps, and that's the SAFE Act, SAFE, and then the Dodd-Frank Act. Those 2 acts basically say your do's and don'ts with your wrap buyers, and they have to follow very closely to what normal banks have to do to qualify a loan. Now, there's still some areas where you don't, right? Your company can choose, I'm not going to ever care about somebody's credit, other than if I have the same 2 buyers or I have 2 different buyers for a property. And if the thing that makes one more qualified than the other is that one has better credit score, boom, that's a reason for choosing somebody who has a better credit score. But Your standard operating procedures as somebody who's doing wraps could choose, I don't care about credit. And that's why people want to come to us as investors on these wraps, is because we'll have more lenient standard operating procedures than a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America. And that's why Dom, Angie, this whole crew is important to continue to contribute to our communities, because our standards are lower for these buyers who are struggling in an environment that's really hard for affordability, right? A 1099 worker, somebody who's going to run their own businesses, or are consultants, maybe they're real estate consultants like Joey. So they're going to expense as many things as they can as part of doing their taxes, or they're not going to meet those minimum verifiable incomes. So your standard operating procedures is, hey, if they make 2.5x what this mortgage is every month, they qualify. But here's the kicker. If you come outside of your standards, you may be breaking a fair housing law. So that's why it's important that if you're going to start getting into wraps, that you have SOPs. You're following those SOPs with every single person, regardless of their name, their credence, their background, because there's fair housing laws that also prevail on how you run your and all of this stuff, right? I'm just here to sell a wrap. This like, I was just trying to figure out, how do I get rid of a creative deal that couldn't make it for investors because we didn't do our underwriting well enough? How do we make this work? And that's how it started. And then that's how it ended, where you're like, oh my God, I had to educate myself so much about how I'm actually becoming a bank when I'm doing wraps.
And you had a leg up, right? Being a real estate agent, we have to go through those things, anyway, right? Learning those things. So having a real estate agent like Ingryd or Angie or even myself, not as smart as Angie, helps tremendously in these situations, because it's more than just a wholesale deal. There's a lot more going on.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, I have somebody looking to buy in Tucson if you need somebody. Jeff Husa from SubTo said he did a wrap. Here, let me read it. Jeff Husa sold a house in Tucson on a wrap a year and a half ago. A couple weeks ago, the buyer passed away. We're humans. That happens, right? Family did a deed in lieu of forfeiture. So it's another thing. Maybe you'll find that out in your wrap class, that if you sell on an agreement for sale, or if you sell a contract for deed, all these executory contracts, I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but go check it out. You can follow a process called not a deed in lieu of forfeiture. It's just a forfeiture. So it's technically a deed in lieu of foreclosure, but yeah, forfeiture is the process where you don't have to follow foreclosure. So agreements for sale can actually have a much stronger prerequisite of how a buyer's lack of performance impacts how you get the house back as the bank or as the investor selling it on a wrap. So in the state of Arizona, what we did with our agreement for sale is after 10 days of you not paying your mortgage, you are now considered in default, and I can take the house back as long as I send you a demand letter from my lawyer that says, hey, make your property whole in 10 days. Otherwise, I get the house back. And as long as they owe less than 20% of that debt, I could do that. If they owe less than 20%, excuse me, how did I say that? So let's say they owe 80% or more. Did I say that right, Angie? Or one of yous? I don't remember now. Deed in lieu of forfeiture. Oh, so Sean St. Clair.
Am I frozen?
If they owe 20% or less, you can do a forfeiture. If they owe less, no, I'm saying it wrong. Do you guys know that law?
No, I think it varies state by state, because how you were saying you have a 10-day for them if they miss. I know in Colorado, I think we have to give them at least 30 days or 60 days. I got to check with
closure for sure. Here in Arizona, you have to give them that many days.
Because Colorado, we're a real blue state, so it's a little harder to work around the laws here.
That makes sense.
So they're just a little bit different. Because if you get the wrong buyer who they mess up on the payments, but they have a real estate attorney friend, and you didn't follow all the rules, they can sue you.
Okay, but on a contract for deed, it said 15 days, and that's why, remember our Pueblo house that we had to do send the paperwork?
Yeah.
To notice, yeah. It's just
we gave them 15 days.
Make sure you're checking with your attorneys when you do anything.
Yeah. I think here in Arizona, if they've paid more than 20% of the debt, so let's say it's $100K and they've paid more than $20K at that point, I have to go through a foreclosure. If they've paid less than $20K, because that's less than 20% of the amount due, then I can follow forfeiture.
Forfeiture, yeah.
This is how math always helps me, and I don't know why I didn't start that way. I got all jumbled up in my words. But anyways.
If they have 20% of equity, then you cannot do it.
Correct. Exactly. Look at that, Dom.
That's why for our pool of wrap buyers who we have now, besides this one we had in Pueblo, I'd say the average income is $15K a month plus.
Wow.
For our buyers.
Yeah.
That's usually who's.
And they're getting better interest rates than they would even if they could get a loan.
Yeah.
Because of usually their credit's a little bit whatever, right? Wonky. So everybody gets a deal.
Yeah. And so your standards in your business is that they need to have you don't care about credit, but they do have to have a level of income that would satisfy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't look at credit. We look at debt to income and what they're making a month. Because especially in Colorado, we won't sell a wrap unless I know I have a wrap buyer bringing 80 to 120K down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just doesn't really make sense.
Where are you finding these amazing people?
Come to the boot camp and we'll tell you.
It's true.
I can't go to the boot camp this weekend. Okay.
We probably tell you though.
We'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's so interesting. In Arizona, we're starting to go into our Spanish markets a little bit more because we have a very strong Mexican population here. And part of what we've started to do is actually pull ads in Spanish speaking magazines, right? Like it's Spanish based magazines. And then you have the Facebook Marketplace. I've made friends with a couple of carniceria owners. So like owners that have like the meat, the where you go get your carne asada, like they have your buyers for you. And if you can incentivize them to redirect them to you.
And they all talk.
Money. That's right.
They all talk. That community is tight. They all go to the same places, do the same things. They all talk. Yeah.
I mean, you don't ask them for their text. You ask them for their WhatsApp. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for sure. Okay, cool. So I am looking in the right places. I'm just getting started real late. I should have been going to your boot camp this weekend. Dang.
You're bilingual too. You can speak Spanish.
Yeah,
so you got to.
Sí, por supuesto. Should I just join? I mean, I should just join the Milinazzos and like I'll just be your Arizona arm.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have an advantage speaking Spanish because you could just jump right in there and the culture, the language, they feel more secure.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great point. So if you're going to do wraps, a way for you to build a who not how team is try to find somebody who speaks Spanish. Angie's bored. Sorry, Angie. Have somebody speaking Spanish as part of your team. So
yes.
No, I have the Yannis.
Angie's a lot like Pace. She sees like 1,000 things happening at once. He's talking to somebody. So, oh, hey, dude, how you doing? Then comes back. That's Angie.
Yeah.
That's what she does.
Wow. Is that your Pueblo house that Rachel's talking about?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that deal. Like, how did it go sideways?
Well, they divorced. The couple divorced, and then they moved to Las Vegas, and the servicing company notified us, said, hey, your buyers didn't make the payment this month. So we contacted them and they said, we're divorcing.
Take
we're
the house
not going
back.
to pay.
But we get to sell it again.
Yeah.
You get to make another down payment on it.
Yeah.
When I and I know Pace has done this too before on some of the SubTo calls, like that is what I tell sellers as well. Like, you want me to default. You need me to.
I say that every time when I'm going to pitch. I'm like, it's actually great for me to mess up. I think you should be praying for me to mess up because you get paid twice.
For sure. Like go and do it again and get another down payment. I mean, we inadvertently make sellers investors all the time. I have a seller who I bought a house from in the city of Surprise, and he's already asking me like, hey, could I buy a house like this in Reno, Nevada? I moved to Reno, and I think buying it the way you bought my house is an option. I was like, yeah. So I connected him with Jennifer Balat, and now she's trying to find him a house.
Oh, nice.
We're changing minds, man. We're changing minds by showing them what the possibilities are. Mm-hmm.
And the key is the credibility you bring, how you come across, how professional you are. That really matters. We get a lot of deals that people primed them, like talked about it, but then we come in and Joey or Dylan or Austin starts talking to them, and they say, "Well, now I understand that. Oh, you have a credibility letter. This is how you submit. Oh, you have all these answers to all these questions. We want to go with you." So it's very important to learn your craft, right? If you don't know it, get with people that know it. That's important.
Yeah, for sure. Well done. Okay. So Carlos Montoya wants to know, are all the buyers you have mostly Latino?
A good portion.
95%, 90%.
So how do you
those are the ones who are usually the best buyers, I would say. Now there are the ones where big time money makers and banks aren't giving them any loans because they only claim a certain amount, and maybe they're a tech guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes there's a little pointer just for everybody. You may have rat buyers in your sphere. You have no clue. It's parents' kids who want to help their kids. You may have parents who are like, oh, I want my son and his fiance to get in a house. They don't have the down payment, but they rent for $3,000 a month, $3,500 a month. So they can afford a mortgage, but they just don't have down payments. That's a rat buyer right there. Somebody's dad willing to give them 50, 60 grand to get into a house, and they didn't have to go to a bank because they wouldn't qualify. Those are really good rat buyers. You find those.
Yep. And they can pull that cash from savings, 401k, anything, just like you would with a lender, right? Put their money towards their family. And a lot of parents do that. Cool parents do that. Good one. Just
cool
kidding.
Parents. So has Dom done that for you, Joey?
Sure, I did. I gave him all the knowledge to do what? What did you do there, JoJo?
Yeah. He gave me all the knowledge and all the years.
He worked for it.
Pounded at me, but I did this one on my own. I bought my house SubTo. It was only $5,000 down payment negotiated too, but yeah, I did that. I don't know, like 3-4 months.
And a car.
And I bought a car SubTo from a girl. Wow. I call it deal engineering. If anybody needs their deal to be engineered for a wrap, I've done it for like 3 or 4 people. I did it for this lady a few years ago. I engineered her whole wrap. She sold her rental to her tenant. Funny enough, years come by, I'm looking on the SubTo car page, and there's a car for sale, and I'm talking to the seller back and forth. I don't even realize it's her. It's Joanne. It's the girl I did the deal with so long ago, and she ended up taking her fee down. I got it into that one for $0 down.
Well, that made it easier since she's already known that you're a credible person.
Joey, we did the deal. You did the deal with me. I don't remember. I was like, oh, shoot.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah, who does that, Joe? Who does the cars for you?
Mike Davis.
There you go. I just want you to give him a plug.
Yeah, sellerfinance.io. Yeah. We'll put this in here in case. He's also been on the podcast. We love him. Out of Baltimore. So very cool. Solid
person. Very good guy.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about, if people sign up for your boot camp, what are they going to learn? Let's change gears into that, and how you're changing people's brains, just like you change your own children's brains.
They're going to learn how to do a wrap from A to Z. And what that means is they're going to learn how to find the buyer, how to do it the creative deal, how to utilize the insurance, how to utilize a servicing company.
Everything it takes for a wrap from A to Z.
I'll say this. They will leave that place that they can get themselves a wrap within 60 days.
Ooh.
Bold statement. I think that could happen.
If you try. If you don't put in the work, you won't do it.
Well, they're learning SubTo. They're learning agent outreach, because those are things that you have to do to get to these wraps. So it's not just wraps, just a way to sell the product. And we're going to show you how to bundle all that in, and the team and the resources that you need. But they're also going to learn that subject to, and the whole way to do it, even down to the marketing piece of it. Yeah. How we run ads in Facebook Instagram.
Dang, can I
bandit
still
sites,
get in
believe it
on
or
this
not.
action?
Yeah.
I think it's too much. No, it's not too much. You know what we want? We want everybody to come and learn so much and love it so much that we keep doing these, and we're going to have a meetup afterwards too. So it's going to be a big
Is it a 1 day? Is it a 2 day?
2 day.
Long?
2 day.
2 days. Okay.
Yeah, all day long. We're going to work through lunch probably because there's a lot to learn, and I want to make sure that everybody gets a good amount of time, right? And we're going to have a whole bunch of people walking around that can help with different skills. So I already talked to Amber. She's going, and she needs some help on the SubTo side. So I told her I will personally walk around when we're going through this, and I'll sit with her and help her through the exercises. So we have a lot of people to do that, which is important. It's the way I learn. I don't just learn by looking on a screen and then taking notes and going home and forgetting everything. I want to do it that day. So we're going to be calling agents. We're going to be calling buyers. We're gonna do exactly what we do for wrap.
Right. We even have a couple people that have deals to wrap. So we're going to show them live.
Beat me to the punch. I have deals for you guys to wrap. You want to wrap some of my deals?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So I'm going to show you guys just real quick, if I may. There's 5 of you, so I don't know how that works when there's that many people. But as you guys know, with the No One Left Behind challenge, we are getting a hold of a lot of agents, and we are getting presented a lot of opportunities. And so, what's great about that is that we have opportunities to present, but what's tough is being able to like offload them. And so it seems like wrapping them might be like the best strategy. I have too many screens open. Hang on a second. It's coming, I promise. So I put the website on the side. It's called nobankloanhomes.com. Hang on a second. We just got too many windows, y'all. We really do. And if you want to check it out, like there's all these houses that we have, and I feel like we could get even more. The problem we're having right now is that we're not systematized. We haven't done what. Sorry.
Go.
I think that was Dominic's
phone.
Oh yeah,
because I went to your live.
Oh, got it. Shoot. I'm trying to find the entire screen. I still can't find it. Here we go. Hold on. We'll just do this. The barrage of properties. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So we have all of these properties ready to roll. This one's under contract, this Gilbert house. This one's set for foreclosure, unfortunately, with a 4.5 interest rate. This one's under contract. So there's a couple on here that I think could get wrapped if you guys would be up for attempting. And then we have some that are just not quite there yet. How do I end this? Stop sharing. They're really close, but because I feel like this would have been actually perfect for me. I'll be honest with you, because I feel like this is still the part. So if I'm somebody who's like, hey, we're getting deals under contract, I just need to know all the little systems in place, what kinds of ads, where to find my buyers. How do I educate my buyers? Do you guys have a process for that too? Yeah, I love it.
100%.
Very cool. Awesome. And so what else should people know about your boot camp?
I'll let Dylan explain too, but Dylan's giving away a course. I'll let him talk about that. He should be charging $100,000 for it. It made us $1 million in wholesale fees, but I'll let him talk about it.
Yeah, so I've just been trying to compile as many videos and recordings of live calls, role plays, No One Left Behind Zooms where I'm role playing and teaching people, live calls, underwriting. So I've just been trying to compile as many Zoom recording clips, live calls as possible. And I've been recording a lot of Loom videos myself on here's what filters to set on PropStream. Here's, what you say, here's how you handle this objection and this objection, how to underwrite. So just trying to compile that into one Google Drive or whatever course So that'll be a part of it as well. That's sort of like the acquisition part. If someone wants to go out and find the deal themselves and not just buy it from a wholesaler. So that'll be a part of the boot camp as well.
So they'll be able to just buy the property, right? Even if they're not going to be a wrapper, right, with a W. Yo, what's up? Even though they're not going to be a wrapper, they're able to go and learn SubTo, learn creative, learn all these things, how insurance works, and go buy it for themselves. Right on, Dill.
Yep.
So
I love it.
just really quick. So we have a really good friend of the show, Chris Cahall, who does all my insurance policies in Arizona. And I know he's licensed in other states as well. Have you incorporated your insurance person on the transfers too?
Yes.
Yeah. So our insurance guy will be there on Saturday as well too. His name's Noah Taxman. He works for Goosehead. He's done probably 15 policies in the last couple of months for us. So he'll be there teaching about insurance and how to structure it and not raise red flags, all that good stuff as well too.
That's awesome. Yeah. People always ask me, Ingrid, how do you do your insurance thing? And I was like, I just let the professional do it. I don't touch it. Like, because if they call him, that's way easier than them calling me because I'll say the wrong thing. I know I will.
Yeah.
You're literally going to get everybody there, Ingrid. We're kind of going through insurance, MLO, RMLOs, TCs, agents, broker, dispo guys, acquisition guys.
Marketing.
Oh, Neeta Patel's going to be there. And she's going to do, she's going to talk a little bit about foreclosures because a lot of times these go kind of hand in hand with pre-foreclosures. And she's going to do a little bit of mindset work. So it's going to be so many people. And some guy named Pace will be there.
I don't know who he is.
We don't need him.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, very cool. Oh, and then Rachel said servicing.
Yes.
Servicing. Yep.
Yeah.
So you see, there's the team, right? And you can go and just find them. Well, I can find one on my own. Yeah, but then you're dealing with, are they good? Are they bad? Are they in it? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like I want somebody solid, proven that somebody else has used for a little while before I go and test my business out with them.
Yeah. Very cool. Awesome. Well, what else would you like to tell the crew about wraps and what your team does?
Long-term rentals are dead, at least here in Colorado. I mean, they're really, really tough. They're just long-term, right? And you got to go quickly. You got to go build that portfolio up pretty fast unless you have some money behind you, right? So you can fix things and keep things in working order. But with wraps, you're cash flowing from day one. You know, if the furnace goes out, it's on them. They own the property. That you're just the bank. So it's a great way to get into real estate without having a lot of money or any money, right? And to start seeing the effects quickly. Because on a long-term rental, as you know, I mean, you don't see that for a long time. I mean, the money is just barely a little bit coming in. Oh, shoot, this happened. No money going out. With this, it's money coming in, and you get paid up front, just like you would on a wholesale fee. You get paid up front, then you get paid monthly, and you have equity built into the deal to get paid when they refi or sell. Mm-hmm. And if they fall on their face, you've taken some money down, right? So you're able to get them out of there and resell it again. So it's really it's a pretty safe way as long as you're following the rules and doing things the right way. You should follow the rules anyway on anything. I always tell everybody, whatever the deal is, act like you're going to be in front of a judge and you got to explain yourself and say, this is why I did this. This is why I did this. This is why. Mm-hmm. That's my moral compass. Like, hey, okay, if I'm in front of somebody, I'm like, well, I want to make even you go out of your way to make it even better. If you know what I mean, like, because you want to make sure, like, if you're in front of that judge, everything is 100% legit of what you were doing. That's why you should
record your conversations with them and recap per our conversation. Here's what
recording.
We to you.
We did have one recorded, and we didn't want to fight it, but she still was crazy. Yeah.
She claimed you can't fight crazy, but so interesting enough, Jeremy Demers had a property out here in Arizona, did a great job on the flip, but our market is caca. Like people are having to start refinancing their flips out in order for them to make it work.
Yeah, here too.
This is an ultimate pivot for people who are in that fix and flip world, in my opinion.
Yes.
Go refinance these loans. Go sell them on a wrap. So we're helping Jeremy with his wrap out in Glendale. so that we could find him what he needed in order for this to work. So,
Smart.
Ingrid, you should come.
All right. I'm staying with you though.
Okay.
You're in.
You and Nita are going to stay.
Yeah, Nita's staying
Come.
with us.
I have
all three of
two
us,
spare
same bed,
bedrooms.
right?
Yeah.
No, we have a
couch
room for you.
making?
We got
Okay.
two bedrooms.
2 extra bedrooms, right?
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, then Joey's not living with you anymore, eh?
Nope.
Okay, good.
He has extra bedrooms.
Yeah.
His house is as big as mine.
Fantastic. So let's share that website again. It's creativereps.com/pace.
And
we're having a
reach out to me.
webinar to talk about it at 5 today.
Oh yeah, we're having a webinar today.
Throw that up there. Yeah.
Yeah, put it in the chat, and then I'll throw it up there again. Yeah, and I'll put it. Well, I don't know if anybody will see it in the show notes if you're having it at 5. That's just in a few hours. But Bernie Soderberg in the chat says they have 4 flips and they can't sell them. And so I will tell you one thing, Bernie. Hopefully they're in a median price point, because I do believe it's way easier to sell luxury wraps, to be honest with you. But if the interest rate isn't great, you are talking to a more sophisticated buyer. And as a result, they'll push back on that interest rate. Yeah. So that's the pro and the con. Whereas on the median side or less, so like, in Arizona, our median price kind of pushed high into the high 400s. Now I think we're back to the mid 400,000s. If our interest rates for those are in the 7s, it's fine because the purchase price was lower. When your purchase price is higher and you're in the luxury side of things, they're not as forgiving on those interest rates. So,
right.
Yeah.
100% correct.
Cool. Awesome sauce. Well, wonderful. I appreciate you guys for coming on to the podcast, sharing how you're helping other investors pivot in this market by doing wraps and how to do it safely and the right way. I appreciate you guys. And I guess, like I said, Angie is a broker. Angie and Dom have a brokerage out of Colorado. So it feels like it has a weight of credibility that you won't always find with educators, in my opinion. And Dom said this, I say the exact same word, especially when somebody who's trying to do a wrap or even a lease option. So lease option, maybe I'll do a boot camp for a 1-day lease option thing, but people are like, yeah, I want to charge $30,000 for a lease option. And I'm like, hold your horses. Is this a $1 million house or no? Because if you're sitting in front of a judge, you have to explain to that judge how that was for your and their benefit and how you are actually taking a loss by taking that $30K and waiting for them to buy that house from you. And if you can't explain that, then you're probably overcharging.
Yep.
Right on. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Angie, Dom, Joey, Dylan, Austin. Who else did I miss? Did I miss anybody?
Nope.
Rachel in the background
Rachel.
doing all the stuff.
Rachel in the background in the chats. Right on. Cool.
We appreciate you.
Any last words? So just have everybody go to creativereps.com/webinar.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the best place.
Yeah. And you'll get the discount code there.
You'll get the discount code there. So they got to go to that webinar to get a discount code for this weekend.
Yes.
Fantastic.
No, they have to go to the webinar?
They have to go to the webinar to get the discount, or reach out to me if you're on this and you can't make the webinar on Facebook. Angie Milinazzo.
Angie Milinazzo.
Milinazzo.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, everybody. And again, this has been the Explain It podcast. We are here every Wednesday from 1 to 2 Arizona time to answer all your burning questions, especially about things like wraps, flipping, rents, short-term rentals, all the good stuff. So we'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you.
See ya.
Yeah.